Hi everybody, we're doing our project on texting and communication. I'm Megan Montani.
I'm Stephen Colbeck.
I'm Vinny Chambers.
Hi, I'm Francesca Etienne.
David Morency.
So we chose our topic because texting at school has become kind of very essential to our lives at this point with the Generation Y and the millennials. We use our phones every day. Every class we probably get 2 or 3 texts. I'm saying look at it 2 or 3 times in class. At least I do. I'm kind of guilty of that sometimes. Due to the high-speed tendency of texting, we began shortening words and phrases, which kind of hurt our written communication skills. And due to how much time we spend texting, it takes away from face-to-face interaction. Our group says that there are kind of 2 sides to texting. There are some that think that it's a great invention that increases communication between business and peers. Others say that texting is almost ruining our lives in the sense that technology has taken over our lives. Our group believes that texting has taken more of a negative impact than a good one, because we said that the feeling of getting that instant notification is almost like a chemical rush that kind of takes over our lives. The other side of the argument, some say that texting has a lot of positive effects. Some say it's just so instantaneous in communication that it's essential to our lives. It's just a good thing at this point. Some say it teaches teens basic communication skills, in that if they're kind of shyer than others, it's easier to text someone something than it is maybe to talk to them face to face about it. It is also more applicable than email because emails require Wi-Fi. If you're on your laptop somewhere, you can't always get Wi-Fi. On your phone, you don't require that. You can just get a text message whenever. Some stats I found on that side. The CTIA said it takes 90 minutes for the average person to respond to an email, while it takes 90 seconds for the average person to respond to a text message. And another one I found was average open rates for email hover in the 15 to 22% range. Email is more likely to hit the spam folder before anyone ever even sees it. On the other hand, open rates for text messaging tower over email at 98%, and most are read within 15 minutes of receiving them. These stats show that texting has proven to be the quickest and easiest way of communication.
So the other pros of texting that we found was that it improves language skills, it provides emotional relief, and it helps introverts communicate. So before I start, although myself and Vinny are listing the pros of texting, we just want to make it clear that we are for the other side, but we just want to give you guys the opportunity to see both sides, so you guys can make the decision which you feel like, does it hinder us, or does it provide like pros to us? So first, many people believe that texting hinders spelling and reading and of that sort, but after doing research, I found out that quote, the use of text speak did not carry over to misspellings, academic work, and hoisted the fun associated with texting for young people contributes to greater literacy simply. So pretty much that we believe that it's most people believe that it's pretty much just a rumor that texting hinders your spelling. A lot of people find that if you're asked to do a spelling test or if you're asked to read out loud, it has nothing to do with texting at all. Provides emotional relief. So the 2 things I stated is that sometimes texting your emotions is easier than actually speaking about them. And I can use myself for example. Sometimes it's easier to text like how you're feeling rather than being face to face with the person. It's more difficult to say everything you're feeling like the person's gonna judge you or so. And also it creates a stronger bond. It's a good feeling knowing that you have someone there in person, but it's also a better feeling that knowing that your friend doesn't have to literally always be there with you. The person can be miles away, but still keep that communication strong. So it actually provides emotional relief. The quote I want to use is underneath, which states, a study conducted, researchers published in Computers and Human Behavior found when communicating digitally, teens who begin chatting in a distressed state often experience a reduction in negative moods after talking to a friend. So positive impacts on introverts, as most of us know from the beginning of the semester, that most introverts, they're not usually the first one to raise their hand in class, or they're for the most part, they feel uncomfortable in larger crowds. So texting allows introverts to feel more comfortable without being in a large crowd. It also allows introverts to get straight to the point without having to make small, uncomfortable talk. So knowing that I can just text you something rather than being in a room full of people makes introverts feel more comfortable in actually saying what they have to say.
That's me.
Yeah.
All right, so what's wrong with texting? So prior to the widespread use of cell phones, adolescents experience firsthand reactions primarily while meeting and talking to other people. So like, when you meet someone and you start having a conversation with them, there's a certain level of like etiquette that we learned to follow about interaction previously, and we start to miss out on a lot of that through texting. So a good example would be like apologizing over the phone versus face to face, where when you're apologizing face to face, you have to express that you are actually sorry, where typing sorry is just a couple words.
Okay, so before we really get into the statistics and everything like that, we each came up with a personal testimony that I'm gonna talk about to, give you more of a personal background to why we chose this topic. So, one of the testimonies was that it leads to miscommunication. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys, if you're texting someone and they write in all caps, might seem like they're really angry, or it provides a different emotion, or sometimes when you're just brief in your text messages, people can assume that you're angry. It's because they're not in person talking to you, and you can't read those types of facial expressions because it's over a phone. There's no expression to really use unless you use an emoji, but that's not really what people do these days in the same way. We also said that it lowers grammar skills, and we actually have proof from our own project where we were doing the outline and we were spelling words wrong in like a little group chat, which is, IMing is basically like the same thing as text messaging. And it was pretty funny because we were going back and forth on examples of how we can show this, and it happened right in front of us. Also too, like, a lot of kids nowadays are shortening their words in text messages even more, and I've seen, because I've worked with middle schoolers in the science classes at Dartmouth, that sometimes when they're writing their notes, they'll actually use these, R's instead of A-R-E, or U, in the same way that you'd use a text message. Oral communication was also a lot safer than text messaging in the way that, Professor Einstein actually mentioned it last class, I believe, where she said something along the lines of, when you send out a text message, or you really can't get it back, there's no way of turning it around, and someone has the time to create a rebuttal, and also it's just, there's no way of knowing how the person's going to react, whereas if you do it right away, you can get that reaction instantaneously. We also said that it was a huge distraction. I mean, obviously we have texting and driving, which is a huge problem, and it causes more accidents than, eating and driving, which used to be a much bigger problem. It's also, we were even doing our project and we'd stop to answer a text message during an assignment, which is not really what you should be doing. And I'm sure all of us are guilty of taking our phones out when the teacher's not looking to answer a text message or a group chat or whatever. So we thought that that was really important because it's becoming more and more prevalent in our society today. Also, we thought one of the problems was that phones and text messaging has become a part of us. I know some of my friends and even myself sometimes, I won't leave, if my phone isn't charged, I won't leave the apartment until it's charged, or I'll wait, or I'll bring my charger with me somewhere to make sure that I have my phone on me because I don't want to be without it. It literally becomes a part of you, like your hand or your feet. You use it every day. So to honestly think that it's not a part of your everyday life would be kind of silly.
We did A study was conducted by a researcher from the University of St. Thomas where they performed qualitative interviews on 7 school social workers selected randomly from Wisconsin and Minnesota high schools. And common themes that arose from the data were communication with school social workers, communication with peers, communication with family, skills, and life interactions. But for our purposes, we'll only be focusing on themes 2, 3, and 4. So communication with peers. Texting comes up in negative aspects with bullying and harassment, and also peer-to-peer conflicts. So like she was saying earlier, just when you're texting and there's no face-to-face interaction, you don't have to see their emotions. It's really easy to offend someone or be ignorant or be mean because you're not getting any of the feelings back, and it kind of feels like you're just sending it to a wall, so it's easier to say things. And also actual texting causes them to lose that face-to-face interaction. And when there is face-to-face interaction, you might notice you're sometimes being interrupted, as she said also, by someone texting them. I know if you go to dinner with any of your family members, you might notice like at the restaurant, you're on the phone when your parents are like, oh, you never talk to us anymore. I know when I go to restaurants with my friends, we actually all put our phones on the tables and stack them, and whoever like takes the phone first to text someone while we're eating has to pay the whole bill. And that's a nice thing you can do. You don't do it though if you're not prepared, because you might fail your own test, you know. And then but it also has been for shy kids, they're more willing to text a classmate a question about school or to hang out, which is a positive benefit as long as it's used positively. And then there's communication with family, where 6 of the 7 interviewed actually said that texting makes the adolescent children communicate with their parents more readily and helps them keep track of each other. So I know for in this world where kids are doing much more things at younger ages, parents, including my own, want to know where you are, what you're doing, what you're going to be doing, whose friend you're going to be at, who's a friend, who's their parents, social, other stuff like that. And that's helped them just keep a safe mind, but in the same way, it might help hinder them in the future. For like any of us that become parents in the future, we might text our kids like, what are you doing, where are you at? And if they don't respond within 30 minutes, we might start to get worried and like over panic and over exaggerate, where in the past, like, and there was no communication, you just had to like trust your kid and hope that nothing's happening. And then one respondent claimed that texting increases the quality of the message getting across. So like, I don't know how many of you have switched from sending aunts, like calling your aunt and being like, happy birthday, or driving to your aunt to go on Facebook and just posting like HBD, picture of balloons or something, or texting them. So in that way, like the quality of the message getting across is decreased a lot.
So the next thing was like skills and reading and writing. Some of the social workers were saying that the shortening of the words and slang spelling that affects a lot of the writing skills of adolescents. So the fear is that like people would start saying, you know, apostrophe cause instead of writing out cause in like an essay. It's that kind of thing. They say, I think texting allows them to avoid a lot of challenging situations, reading situations where you have to learn how to communicate. Again, that's the face-to-face interpersonal skills that we all need to learn. And there's a lot of drama that seems to stem because of it, with like group chats where people are constantly communicating and saying things that may or may not be mean. So what can we do about it? We can limit the amount of time that we spend texting. We could start using Skype and FaceTime. We could use phone calls more. We can use emails, because with those you need, you know, more personal face-to-face. You can hear tone of voice in a phone call, and it takes more thought and consideration to send an email. We can make shortcuts for texting where we change abbreviations like LOL or OMW, so that's really funny, or on my way. You can see there, I actually did that on my phone, where if you type OMW, it'll autocorrect to on my way. You can pay closer attention to your spelling and grammar, and you can pick up and read more. I mean, reading a book will increase your general literacy when it comes to spelling and grammar as well. So the difference this will all make is people who spend we'll spend less time on our phones, and we'll spend more time talking to each other in a more meaningful medium. When we text, we'll actually be becoming smarter because we'll be, reading and writing in full sentences. And texting shortcuts will let us get the point across a lot faster.
Any questions?
So your position is, because you kind of gave both sides of the pros and the cons.
We wanted to give you guys both sides because we want you to see the two sides of the argument without thinking we're just one-sided on this topic, because a lot of, I'm not saying like any that we've seen so far, but there have been presentations that I've seen where it's so one-sided that it kind of turns me off of the topic because I'm not getting the full view. But we believe that texting negatively affects oral communication and face-to-face time because you don't get that same type of experience. And a lot of people don't know how to interact when dealing with another person anymore in that way.
Okay.
And it's really a double-edged sword too, because on one end it's a really quick and easy way to communicate, but you have to monitor the way we use it, otherwise it could get out of hand and no one will know what to say.
And I mean, even right now, like while I was talking, I was looking around and like, I saw people on their phones like texting, like not paying attention to the presentation, and like that's, I'm not gonna judge you because we've all done it, but like, that's the exact point that we're putting across is that people can't be without their phones because they're on them all the time.
Yep, good. Thank you.